All right, back in action. Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. And I wanted to do a quick update here on the two aviation stocks that we looked at just after the ball dropped when the year started. It was about the third week of January back here. And first one up, Archer Aviation, ACHR. This one pre-revenue, right? If we look, we can see we're not bringing in any money yet. We were expected to bring in about 1.8 mil. That didn't happen, but you can see how we bounced nicely off of the support that we were speaking about, and now we made just a big U-turn recovery, and the stock is back near these 52-week highs. So we could potentially actually see the stock continue to break up and break out. And even if we back up here, you can see out of the gate, we were up here, we had a spike up to 15, and then it looks like we hit about 16 and a half. So we could potentially keep climbing, believe it or not, whether the valuation is agreeable or not, strictly because of the technicals. And of course, if markets kind of continue to hover around highs over here. But quick recap. We were back here January 24th. I was speaking about this upward channel that the stock was in. We were looking at the fundamentals, and also again coming back here, you can see top left of the screen, the high 622, and then here the low 626, right? So we had that tiny gap fill that we were looking at, and I drew out some of these support levels to keep an eye on, and you can see that we stepped our way down. We had the flash break below these two levels, but came back right to it and then perfectly bounced off it back to the 20-day, and then we were on the up and up. And then you can see the dip and the nice U-turn recovery. Stock sitting at about 13 and a half, up 17 cents, about 1.25%. Market cap right now 8.6 billion. Right, so this is why we were looking for a sell-off. Same thing with FTAI, which we'll get to in a second. But 8.6 billion for a company really not doing anything yet. So, technically we're, again, overextended in the fundamentals as we were when we first found it. However, the technicals now are lining up for a potential breakup. And if we were to extend our lines out, yeah, that one goes much, much higher. So, of course, we looked, 15, 16 and a half, right? But if we were to just continue to break up and break out, I mean, you're looking at 20 something, right? 28, 25. Well, no, actually, because if it happens hypothetically over the next couple of weeks, stock could hit 30. Obviously, there are other levels to keep an eye on before that, but you get the point I'm making here. Even if we just connect our tops, we're here at 1248. And if we cut across right there, you can see that we can jump up to about 14 and 3/4, about 1470s, right? So we can get near 15. And then again, if we hit this line, and if we continue to hit highs and we break up, volume keeps coming in, then yeah, again, you're going back to when we first started, and you'd be looking at, yeah, see, you'd be looking at like 15 and a half, top of that candle, 1575. Up here, this candle, right, tops out 16 and a half even. And then here you're looking at what? Yeah, like low 17s. What was the high there? 1729. And you can see 1760 at the open, 1808. And what was the all-time high? 1860. 1860. So we can easily get there. But again, technically in the fundamentals, it's overvalued. But I just wanted to show how, some technical analysis, some time, some patience, right? As we said when we first started the channel, when you're talking about taking a position, especially if we're dealing with size, pricing and timing, right? So why buy a stock up here at 10 when it's trending, when it's overvalued, when you can see a potential pullback? Boom, you wait for the pullback to your specified level, and boom, you just saved yourself 40% on your cost, right? But good call there on the pullback to the low sixes, and again, big bounce there, stock 13 and a half. So you're up over 100% if you played it the way I would have played it if I were to take a position at the time. FTAI Aviation, symbol FTAI on the NASDAQ, 113.69, down about 2 points today, 1.7% roughly. And we looked at it here. We were in this long-term upward channel, had the parallel railroad tracks kind of going. And then we had the big breakdown here, a lot of volume leaving when the ball dropped. We did a video here. Looks like it was at about around 100. And we had a bounce up back to 160. And then you can see we're kind of beginning this potential tightening here from the top coming out of this channel. From the low it hit, and then it started to, you know, make those higher lows. So this is the potential symmetrical triangle that we're in now. This was the original support that I said, in my opinion, the stock really should go to. But in all fairness to FTAI, they were ahead of the curve when it came to revenue over the last couple of quarters, right? The EPS was slightly missing, but as we know, it takes money to make money. But you can see coming in almost 25 million above this $300 million estimate, and then back here again 22% above the 360 million estimate. They come in 443 million, so they bump up estimates to 422. They post 465, right? Same thing, they bump it up to almost 500 million, and they hit 498.8. And then you can see 504.8, they still post 502. They almost hit it. So that's why, in my opinion, also, you had the initial drop because, yeah, technically it was a miss on the top and bottom line. But then look, just within a couple of days, it rebounded right to where it was and then climbed up 30% higher, right? Well, 20% higher, roughly, from about 110 up to about 135, we'll call it. Then you had the big volume leave, boom, right? As we come off and reject off the trend line, boom, we drop back down below the moving average, and now you can see we're slowly channeling up. We came up here, and it looks like we rejected off the moving average and the fib here, 118.40 roughly, 118, yeah. And then you can see we dropped down here. So now this is our short-term support that the stock has to hold, right? Let me take that extension off. Right, so now we have to see, are we going to hold here and then bounce and try to come back up here to 127, 128, or are we going to break and we're going to come back down here to the bottom of the range, you know, 100, sub 100, and we come down here and make higher lows still, but back to the bottom of the range. And believe it or not, in my opinion, I actually do think that as we approach the apex, or even prematurely here soon, the stock really should break down to the 70s again. It came down here. This was a low, 75.06, but again, because it happened so quick, a lot of dip buyers came in and pumped it back up. So it didn't completely come down to support as expected. At the time, again, I was looking for like 50 and change, and it would have been a really drastic move, but I think it would have been justified. But 75, I mean, it went most of the way there, right? And then we bounced, and now we have the tightening. So we could have another drop back here, maybe test this support at about 75 and change, potentially make that double bottom, and then that would justify the bull bounce, right? So we'll see how that one plays out. But in my opinion, this one, I think you can get a better price. I mean, $11.6 billion market cap. You know, we're bringing in, what, $1.5, $2 billion a year. Getting a small dividend, currently yielding 1%. PE up here, 564. Yeah, EPS technically has been light, even though it's climbing quarter over quarter with the revenue, which is a good sign. Annually 1.7, and we brought in only about 8.6 mil. And for Q1, very nice profit margin, 20% on roughly 500 million. Net income 102.3 million. So, I mean, it does look decent, right? And this is one of the stocks that you'd want to keep an eye on and try to, again, wait for maybe a breakdown here to the bottom of the range, start building a position sub 100 maybe. And then if you do happen to see the break, right? I mean, if you liked it at 100, you should like it at 80 and 70, right? So this is one that you keep an eye on, but it technically, you know, it was pumped up a little bit. So I do feel it could drop if markets do sell off. And I'm just worried, again, we've been up here at highs, setting new highs, testing highs, breaking up to new highs, you know, all week long. And I just have a funny feeling that we're going to start reversing. We're going to start dropping. But, I mean, people have been saying that for a while, and we just keep climbing. The dividend, as you see, over the last couple of years has gotten slightly lower and lower, going from $1.32 down to $1.20. as the debt has been climbing, right? So good things could be coming down the line, but again, here in the current moment, I do still kind of stick to my analysis and feel that it's overvalued, and you can see a pullback. The free cash flow technically went lower, actually. Free cash flow minus 278 million this time last year, and as of last quarter, free cash flow almost minus 300 million. Cash on hand holding slightly over 100 million. Debt slowly ticking up quarter over quarter by about 200 million and change. It looks like we're up to 3.64 billion in debt right now. Short-term assets, outweighing liabilities, and you have the inverse on the long-term side, which is why, again, it's kind of mixed. We can see the equity bouncing around, got up to almost 200 million, down here to 28.3 million currently. Liabilities eating away at that equity for shareholders. Check our shares. Yeah, up about 3%. That's not too crazy. But yeah, what did we say? 3.6 in debt, only like 100 million in cash. Might actually see another offering potentially. That may cause the breakdown. Yeah, but then again, I don't know, 100 million. I mean, they just went. Yeah, no, they've been net income positive for the last couple of quarters. So maybe that worst is over. So we're talking about 2 billion. They got 3.6 billion in debt. So they would bring in 400 million. So we'd put that 2.4. Yeah, that's, we round it up 10%, let's say, give or take. 2.6 minus the debt. See, the problem is, again, right now you're looking at it with the revenue and the net income positivity, which definitely is good. But you're talking about 2.5, maybe 3 billion in business value, right? Because again, equity's been chunking down. It's sitting here at 28 million. So that's not much of a leg to stand on right now. Debt has been climbing. 11.7 billion. I don't know. That's why I'm saying. I mean, I really believe this stock, believe it or not, could drop like 50% from this current level. But sometimes I notice that even when I'm kind of on the right track with these calls on these sell-offs, sometimes you'll see, even like it did last time, it heads in that direction and gets kind of close, but then finds its footing and bounces, right? So as we said, there's always going to be dip buyers out there. So, should it have continued? Yeah, of course, in my opinion, to prove me right, make me look great, right? But it didn't, and it bounced. But if we do have a break here, if we do drop back to the 70s sometime soon, that would be like a 40% haircut. That would bring us down to like 6 billion. And yeah, we have up and coming, aviation and drone stocks that are grabbing a couple of billion market cap already, right? So if we just pull this back to like 6-7 billion and then bounce it, it would kind of be understandable, right? So in my opinion, that's how I would play this one as well. But good call by us on Archer Aviation and FTAI. Again, pricing and timing. I do think you can get this one a little cheaper, but I did want to do an update on both of them because the original video I looked at both of them. Let's just check news real quick. Explosive upside potential. Up, lawsuit. Okay. Everybody, we know this, right? If you're a publicly traded company, everybody's getting sued. FTAI completes acquisition of 50% stake in IAG. Okay, what's this? 50% stake IAG Engine Center Europe to expand global maintenance capacity. The price wasn't disclosed. Operates 200,000 square foot CFM 56 engine maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility. Okay, the facility has been rebranded as Quick Turn Europe. Okay, well, that's good. So technically, if they're, setting up again, planning, because this is the robo taxi, I believe, right? Or no, that was Archer Aviation. My apologies. Archer Aviation was the robo taxi. They were using jet engines. Okay, okay, okay. I see. I see now. Right, yeah, my apologies. I got confused. The first one, Archer Aviation, again, that's pre-revenue. That's the robo-taxi. I just want to double check. Maintain market outperform, JMP. This was roughly 2 months ago. Price target cut to 180 from 190, so they're still very bullish on it. Participate Barclays, okay. And quickly, I'll go back to Archer real quick, and we'll just check. We'll check any potential news. Ready to prove the model. Okay. Officer steps down. Proceeds midnight launch. What is this? Moving closer to making electric air taxis a reality. Its main aircraft, Midnight, is making notable progress as the company prepares for its commercial launch soon. Okay, soon. This was a week ago, July 11th. In early July 25, Archer completed its first flight in Abu Dhabi, reaching a significant milestone for its planned commercial deployment in the UAE and expanding its operations in the Middle East. As urban traffic increases and cities look for better transport options, investor interest in the evtol space is rising. Archer positioning himself front runner, growing, key partnerships. Okay. Company signed an agreement with Indonesia to introduce Midnight Craft. Okay. Indonesia, the third country after the UAE and Ethiopia to be included in Archer Aviation's Launch Edition program. Ahead of full certification in the US. Okay. Partnered with JetX, a global leader, private aviation. Okay. US, UK, Australia. The goal is to streamline global certification processes for evtol aircraft, which could speed up Archer Aviation's entry into international markets once it secures FAA approval. These steps show the company's commitment to achieving global reach, large-scale commercial rollout, which in turn must have boosted the share price. Yeah, people obviously. Joby was on the move. Everything's on the move. People are buying essentially all of these aviation stocks, all of these rocket stocks, the drone stocks, of course. Intelligence. Okay, so we're still awaiting updates. Understandable as to why this has been gaining momentum, obviously, if we're about to hear that, potentially everything's okay and we're going to start, having our services and boom, generating some millions, then obviously that'll keep the stock up. Completes aircraft test flight in Abu Dhabi. Sold all shares. What is this? General counsel. Okay, $1 million. Wow. Okay. Okay, global takeoff. Archer maintained 13 a share by Cantor Fitzgerald. This was 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Running with JetX. Yep, FAA. $250 million Indonesia eVTOL deal. Will introduce up to 50 Midnight aircraft valued at $5 million a piece. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I saw $5 million and I was like, what? To Southeast Asian archipelago. Under the non-binding agreement, I can air taxis, $18 million. We're reading. Archer recent $850 million capital raise, boosted liquidity, roughly $2 billion. climbing to a target of 1230 over the next year. Stocks at 1370. As high as 18. Could fall to around 4.5 if execution or certification hiccups. Yes. Yes. Maintain buy, kind of core genuity. 13 from 13.5. Raises capital. 850 million share sale. Okay. Accelerate rollout. Executive order. So, as we know with situations like this, of course, once we go through the testing, as they said, they did their little launch program in Abu Dhabi, and as we continue and progress along this timeline, of course, as that article generalized, if there are no hiccups or any speed bumps and everything goes swimmingly and people love it and it's safe and everyone wants to try it, then yeah, obviously the stock is going to explode. But yeah, I was just pointing out again on the technical side, we could potentially run up here to this top resistance line here of the high 14s, which would technically make new 52-week highs before it may calm down, and it could just kind of hang out around the line. And then maybe if you get the next news update, boom, that'll be the next catalyst to pop it up to the next level. You know what I mean? Again, we were looking at what, like 15.5, 16.5, right? It's 1760, 18. So we have a lot of levels to hit, but in my opinion, looks like it's on the up and up there, and people are pumped about this sector as a whole. So I guess you gotta get while the getting's good, as they say. But that's pretty much it. I'll end it there. So once again, Stocks by the Numbers, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop it down in the comment section. I'm pretty quick to reply. Thumbs up, algorithm, all that stuff. Share the video. That helps out the algorithm. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But of course, more importantly, moving forward, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they're very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your weekend.